Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the Ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
Think about this, and it's really, really true. If the Democrats thought for one single minute that the illegal aliens were going to vote Republican, you'd see that border wall from clear out in outer space. And that's the truth. Morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith and God Bless America, followed by a patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. Call in, and good morning. And good morning, everybody. Zeb Bell. Zeb at the Ranch, and thank you, Kate Smith. We do appreciate that as we're ready to rock and roll into our program for today. And, of course, brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you. And if you're getting ready for a road trip, they've got all the tires for your safe driving. And, of course, some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, let's go to the phone line and have our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Well, good morning, sir.
You're the man.
I am, yes. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Wheels, check all the levels to make sure that everything is where it should be. It sounds a little fuzzy over here this morning. And right now, let's get ready for our weather forecast. And that's brought to you by K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 west of Heyburn, right there on the Burley-Paul Highway. Roger and the crew get there early in the morning at 7 o'clock and ready to serve you with the best of tools and equipment. Don't you wait a minute. You just get in there. Rototillers, lawn mowers, and they've got all kinds of post hole diggers and special washers for washing down buildings. I'm telling you, if you've got a project to finish, they've got the tools and equipment to get it done. Get a hold of them today, 678-3122. And right now, here's the weather.
We're expecting some more precipitation today. Here's your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch. We are expecting isolated showers and scattered thunderstorms by this afternoon. Hopefully we'll see a little bit of sunshine, partly sunny with a high of 71. Winds out of the west-southwest right around 8 miles an hour. Tonight, more isolated showers and thunderstorms are possible before midnight as we move into the overnight hours. Expecting mostly clear skies with a low of 50. Tomorrow, mostly sunny skies. High of about 80 for Wednesday night. Clear skies with a low of 54. Thursday, mostly sunny and 85. And as we move into the weekend on Friday, mostly sunny and 80. That's your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
I appreciate it, Gina. Thank you. Great job on our weather forecast, by the way. Thank you again. And, of course, K&R Rental bringing you the weather right off the bat here in the morning at 256 South, 600 west of Heyburn, and they're on the Burley-Paul Highway. That number again to call, 678-3122, K&R Rental. By the way, Thursday is, as you may or may not know, sale day at the Burley Livestock Sale Yard, 1100 Occidental Avenue in Burley. And don't forget the sale that works for you with Merv May, Cade Rogge, Lance Udy. Number to call for cattle consignments and sale information, 678-9411. And believe me, they're going to have another good sale starting at 10:30 on Thursday this week at the Burley Livestock Sale Yard, 1100 Occidental Avenue in Burley. Real quick, also, I want to remind you about our friends at Daryl's Cleaners. And a lot of people don't know they do so much for you, more than just the dry cleaning of your clothes, the restoration of items, and, of course, if you don't have time to do your own washing, just take those bags of dirty clothes in there and tell them, please clean them for me. And they'll get them all washed up and folded and everything. Man, you can't beat that. Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. You stop in and see those really, really good folks today. I have never in my life seen or heard of a bigger mess than we are in right now. This immigration, and I hate to use that terminology, immigration. It's not immigration. It's a forced illegal entry that's being aided and abetted and supplemented by the Democrats in this country that absolutely are pandering for the votes. That's it, plain and simple, and I'm not going to choose any other words. Enough. Enough already. There are those right here in Magic Valley that want any and all people from all over the world to come here, reside here, and we provide for them here. It cannot happen anymore. It has to stop. People, whether they live in Whitewater, Wisconsin, Jacksonville, Florida, Clovis, California, and yes, here, enough is enough. We, the United States, cannot, and I underline those words, and you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure this out. We cannot absorb all the people in the world that want to come here. We can't. Whether it's El Salvador, Honduras, Mexico, whatever, those countries, they must learn to become responsible for their own people and citizenry. And I'll tell you one of the solutions I think might be to get their leadership, if you want to call it that, off dead center and do something. The United States should say no more foreign aid until you devise programs to help and keep your own people in your country. Maybe you don't agree. Call me, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. Well, I'm waiting for, this is a very serious topic that we need to discuss this morning because I want to hear how you feel about these items, and I've got a list of things we need to go over, so give me a call. Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. The number to call, 678-0459. And they're open at 7:30 in the morning till 5, Monday through Friday, for all, this isn't brag, this is a fact, all of your heating, cooling, and electrical needs. That's right, it's all there with very experienced and knowledgeable people at Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. And, oh, by the way, too, I want to request that everybody be there at Lunch Bunch on Thursday. This week, Thursday, is Lunch Bunch. I don't want to see this fade away. I don't want to see it fade away. I want everybody there, and bring a friend, bring a neighbor, bring a relative. And we'll be at Denny's Restaurant on Thursday at 11:30 at 611 North Overland in Burley. Don't forget, great food, fantastic people serving us at Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner. And we also want to say thanks to some of our gift certificate donors, Walmart, Smith's Foods, Hanson Mortuary, Stokes Groceries, Doug Martin, Pomerelle Place, Denny's. It's all there for fun and great eating at America's Diner, Denny's Restaurant in Burley. All right, calls welcome, 436-2244. Don't shy away from this issue. As I said, economically and environmentally, we cannot become a sponge to absorb all the world's people that want to come here. We can't. Economically, we can't absorb the money that we pay out and how we help these others. It's got to stop, or we're going to go down to the same status that they're leaving, a third world nation. Environmentally, I really am concerned about what's going on in all of our major cities. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out that with the homeless and the people that don't want to work, the so-called jobless, and the lack of respect for pulling themselves up by their own bootstraps, they come here, what are they going to do? What are they going to do? They're going to be supplemented by us. And environmentally, with the lack of housing and the lack of water and everything else, the lacks of many items, we can't absorb more of a problem. Now, I will say this, and I know the do-gooders, especially some that reside in the Twin Falls area, etc., that like to criticize and chastise me after the program. I will say this. We, the citizens of the United States, we are losing our community. We're losing our area personalities to mixed cultures. I'll say it again just so you can put the blame on me. We are losing our community and our area personality to mixed cultures, and there is a lacking of melting into our society, but yet they fragment everything by bringing theirs in. We are actually afraid, and this is the truth. I talked to about 9 people yesterday around the country that agree with me, and they brought it up. We are actually afraid someone may become offended with our traditions and activities, so we cease to have them for fear that they might be offended. What in the world is going on here? We are actually becoming afraid to express our thoughts and traditions and activities for fear somebody might jump up and say, I don't like that, it offends me. That's what's happening in America today. It's not a melting pot into our culture. It's a fragmentation. Calls, please. You've got to have the nerve to speak out on this because it's a very important issue. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Well, I have just a moment before I start taking your calls. I want to remind you about Palmer L Place at 1301 Bennett Street in Burley with Holly and the rest of these great folks over there at Palmer L Place that offers senior living and the ability for seniors to maintain their independence both safely and comfortably. I urge you to give them a call. They've got lots of activities, lots of fun things going on. They're located at 1301 Bennett Street in Burley, and the number to call and find out more at Palmer L Place, 677-8212. That number again, 677-8212. Please, I urge you to call today. Also, real fast, I want to remind you about our friends at Dino Septic Service. Hey, nobody wants to stand out in the backyard and pump a septic tank. Ooh, you've got better things that you want to do. And, when you have a septic tank that needs to be pumped, or you need a septic tank and drain field installed, or you have to get rid of liquid waste removal, call them. Dino Septic Service. They are the best at what they do. Fast, fair, friendly service. In Rupert, the number 436-6526. In Burley, 678-1638. Please, they urge you to call Dino Septic Service with that big truck that says, smells cargo on the way. Give them a call. All right, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Honestly, we need people that have a backbone and nerve to speak out on a subject that I see is going to pull us under. And I'm going to be having on at 9:06 Megan Barth. She's a great political analyst that's going to be talking about this. We cannot keep absorbing, and the Nancy Pelosi's and the Chuck Schumers and the Hillary Clintons, and yes, even Barbara Bush, playing the heartstrings of America. Oh, you've got to accept all the children. It's a proven fact that a lot of these kids are coming across the border, forced and coerced to come across the border with people that are not their parents. And once they reach the border, adios, everybody. These people are gone. They're here in America. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. I'm calling you back for about because you said to call you back for yesterday.
I appreciate that. And refresh my memory, which is fading into the horizon because I'm old. I cannot remember the subject matter that we talked about.
Well, it was two different things. One was the children on the border, and one was, I told you that my uncle had gone and got rid of the bears out of his neighbor's house.
That's right. I want to talk, if you could, because I know you're very well educated in what you speak of. The children at the border, I see this as nothing more than a terrible soap opera. Do you disagree or agree with me?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's just the latest, let's draw the attention away from the real stuff.
Yeah. And when you say that, the real stuff, what do you mean?
Well, we still have North Korea to deal with. We still have Iran to deal with. We still have, health care for citizens. We still, there's so many things out there that still need to be addressed.
One of the most repulsive women in America, and I'm going to be very specific when I use these words, Nancy Pelosi is one of the most repulsive women in America, called for, if you didn't know this, Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristen Nielsen to resign over her handling of the migrant children on the border. And keep in mind, and this is what I want you to respond to, the laws and regulatory means that are being used right now are laws that started with the Obama administration, some of which even started before in the Bush administration, but the Trump administration is getting all hell broken loose against them by the Democrats that are liars. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, anytime I hear something like this, I call it Hillary syndrome. It's not me. It's not my fault. I didn't do it.
Do you want, now I'm making some assumptions here that you live in this area, you've got a family in this area. Do you want to be absolutely the open door policy that the Democrats want and let anybody and everybody into this country? Or do you see the potential hazard and risks?
Oh, there are so many potential hazards and risks. And here's the thing of it. They keep saying, they're tearing these children out of the arms of their parents. How do we know they're their parents?
Bingo.
So many sex traffickers. How do we know that it's their child and not they're bringing them in here for the sex traffic? How do we know that it's their child and not a member of MS-13? We don't know unless we pull them apart. I guess there's been interviews with kids, and so what does your mom and dad look like? Well, I don't know.
Yeah. You have just hit the nail on the head, my dear lady, because it is being found out as we speak that the numbers are staggering as to the amount of kids that are here that were not brought to the border by their children or by their parents, and it is nothing more than using kids as a political pawn to get in this country. You're spot on.
Exactly. Well, I read a story where this 16-year-old girl was supposed to be teaching the rest of the kids in the the name that just came to my head wasn't right. But anyway, she was teaching other children who were in there how to change diapers because we're not supposed to. And the headline was, "Children taken from their parents." And when all was said and done, she was going to go back to her aunt. Well, they just made a fake news out of that right there because her aunt is not her parent.
That's right. I don't know if you have followed this aspect of the story, but it just sickens me. I listened to a mother early this morning at about 4:30 on the news talking about losing her daughter that was violently murdered by MS-13 gang members that came here illegally across our border. And the mother looked at the camera and she said, wait a minute, I'm going to be separated from my daughter forever. I'm never going to help her get ready for a prom date. I'm never going to get ready for her marriage, etc. I'm permanently separated from my child because of illegal aliens in this country. And this is just one of the many stories. Where's the sympathy for these people?
There isn't any. In fact, there was on the Facebook, there was one of those stories about, how tragic these 450 children are separated from their parents. And my comment was, prison separates children from their parents, and I'm talking citizens. Military separates children from their parents. Death and sickness. My mom didn't ask to die from cancer. And so we were separated from my mother in that way.
Yeah.
There's lots of ways parents. I have 10 nieces and nephews who were adopted because they were taken from their biologicals because their biologicals were horrible parents.
Yeah.
And so, there's lots of ways to separate them. And sometimes, like I said, sometimes those aren't the parents of those children coming across the border. Because if you've got a young man who looks 12 but's really 23.
Yeah. I want to say how much I appreciate your call. And I'm going to delay our conversation regarding the guns to another time if you'd please call me. But I want to stick with this immigration story this morning. But thank you for calling back. Thank you for your insight. I appreciate you as a listener. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
God bless. Very nice lady right there. Very nice lady. We got to do something, folks. I don't know what the answer is. I'm not saying I have the answers because I don't think anybody has the answers right now, but closed borders have to be in effect. You want to come to this country? You want to apply for getting through on whether it's amnesty or whether it's some other running away from a absolutely devastating Gestapo-type government, go through the proper channels to get here. We can't absorb everyone coming across our border 24/7, any location. I'm here, put me up, I'm going to stay attitude. We can't do that. And don't you dare throw anything at me like, oh, you call yourself a Christian, but you're not willing to help the children. Yes, I am. But in the proper vein and with the proper use of our laws. Caller, I'll be right there. I'm running late. Bear with me just a minute and a half, if you would. Wheels, I need to hear that good word for the Silver State Stampede right now.
PRCA Rodeo Action thunders into Elko, July 13th, 14th, and 15th at the Elko County Fairgrounds. 3 big days for the 2018 Silver State Stampede. Nevada's oldest rodeo is family entertainment at its finest. This PRCA rodeo brings you the thrill of pro riders going head-to-head in one of the toughest sports in the world. Action kicks off Friday, July 13th with mutton busting, a delicious tri-tip dinner, the Calcutta, Old West bronc riding, PRCA rodeo action, the world-famous Ring of Fear, and dancing to the Jeff Palmer Band. Gates open on Friday and Saturday at 4 with mutton busting starting at 6 and rodeo action starting at 7. And on Sunday, gates open at noon with mutton busting at 1 and the rodeo action starting at 2. Tickets on sale now at the Boot Barn and the Elko Chamber Office. Rodeo action at its finest. With the 2018 Silver State Stampede, July 13th, 14th, and 15th at the Elko County Fairgrounds. For more information, contact SilverStateStampede.com.
Thank you very much. And right now, also, I want to remind you about Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Got an ache, got a pain, recovering from surgery or an accident? Please, I urge you to let them help. Nick Greenwell and all the exceptional, talented physical therapists that can help you get back to being you. All the exercises, the use of that hydrotherapy pool, I'm telling you folks, they help me, they can and will help you. Call for an appointment, 678-1191. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation in Burley, serving you. Caller, you've been very patient. Thank you so much. Go, you're on the air.
You're very welcome, my dear friend. Whatever happened to, my grandparents and my great-grandparents came over from Germany. They didn't try to cross the border illegally. They came legally. They became citizens. They learned our language. They abided by our laws. Why can't we get back to that with these new illegals? Let me state, I have no problem with legal immigration, but they're right. We can't absorb everybody. Why can't these children and these people, who some of them are not their parents, they're using them as ploys to get into the country? Why can't their own country, we send them billions of dollars in aid. Why can't they support them there?
Well, I just said earlier that was one of my responses to this, Donna, is that we look at countries like El Salvador, Honduras, whatever, Mexico, and we say, wait a minute. You're not being responsible for your own citizenry. And until you develop plans and programs that are going to help keep them there and help promote them within your own country, we're cutting off foreign aid.
Yes, I totally agree. Why do we, the United States, have to absorb all these people?
We can't.
No, we can't. No, there's not enough room.
What's the population of Rupert?
Look at all the immigrants, the illegals that have come into Twin Falls.
Yeah. What is the population right now, Donna? What is the population of Rupert, Idaho right now?
Oh, heavens, I have no idea, Zeb.
3,500, 4,000? Am I close?
Yeah, pretty close, I think.
Okay, how would you like to see that double with maybe close to a 9,000 population, no jobs, no housing, no anything as far as any other environmental or job needs? All they're going to do is be sent here and live, and we have to take care of them. How would you like to see that double?
Oh, heavens, no. We already have an influx of different people, and I don't know. I'm not a prejudiced person. I believe in, loving the brother and everything, but, enough is enough, Seb. I think we the people need to stand up, and just tell these people, stop.
Well, I said it.
Any more in. If they want to come in, they got to come in legally. And these people that are using the babies and the children,
absolutely,
my heart bleeds for those little kids. But, that only goes so far, too. We cannot afford to support them.
I have said
$5,000 a year for each and every individual.
Yeah, and take that times the 11, 12, or possibly 15 million that are here, and then add more and double it to those that have come in illegally in the cloak of darkness and want more from us.
Yeah, and we have veterans, we have children here that are living below poverty standards. Why can't we help ourselves first? Why do we have to be the rescuer of everybody?
There you go. Donna, I appreciate your call. Thank you for stating your opinion. Always appreciated. Thank you.
You're very welcome, my friend. Have a great day.
God bless. Thank you. Caller number 2, I'll be right there. I want to remind you the 4th of July celebration in Rupert is coming up. Boy, I tell you, it's right around the corner. Peek and you'll see it. And some of the great merchants over in Rupert that invite you to the Rupert 4th of July celebration, don't forget Magic Valley Carpet at 613 D Street in Rupert, just off the square for all your flooring needs. Carpet, hardwood, vinyl, laminates, everything. Installation guaranteed at Magic Valley Carpet. And Haskin Insurance Service at 629 Fremont Street in Rupert. Really good, folks. Telephone number 436-4141. And they want to wish all their customers a great Independence Day, 4th of July holiday. And don't forget, too, they've got all the insurance to help you. Home, auto, farm, life, health, everything. Haskin Insurance. Caller number 2, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Yes, good morning, Zeb. We're going to have to put a title on what's happening. And it's conquest through overpopulation. These people are pouring into this country. They're going on welfare. They have no education, but they're entitled to, I think, for every child they have, they'll be getting about $1,000 a month or somewhere in that nature. And pretty soon, we'll be paying for their Lexuses and 300, 350 diesels and all that, and these people will contribute nothing to our society.
I do not gripe at all on this program, Tony. about legal immigration. Those that are in the lines, those that want to be here in a legal fashion, God bless them because they want to come into America. They want to assimilate. They want to stand up and honor our flag, our red, white, and blue. They want to be taxpayers. They want to work hard. They want to kind of be a part of the American dream. I am absolutely frustrated and filled with animosity against those that come across our border and just stick their chin out and say, I'm here, take care of me. That's tough. I've had it.
Well, because of politics, that's not possible. Politicians that we've got up there now want people to vote, and they don't care how they get the votes.
I agree. They don't care how they get the votes. That is exceptionally well said, and that's the key. The Democrats don't care how they get the votes.
Pretty soon there's going to be so few of us left to pick up the tab for it. We're going to be in the same boat they're in, only we won't be able to collect welfare.
There you go. I appreciate it, Tony. God bless you, man. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Dad. Bye.
A good, sharp guy right there. I appreciate it. Caller, I'll be right there. Don't forget Barry Equipment and Rental Sales, Service, and Parts. How many of you really know all the different kinds of equipment they've got there? I mean, all the equipment rentals and all the retail equipment sales. I mean, they've got all the skid steer rentals. They've got the lift rentals. They've got everything. They've even got coffee pot rentals. I'll tell you what, it's all there at Barry Equipment and Rental, 159 West Highway 30 in Burley with Juan, 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, Eli, and the Nampa location. Don't forget, for the best, Barry Equipment and Rental serving you, Burley, Twin Falls, and Nampa. Caller, good morning, and thank you for your patience.
Not a problem, sir. Hey, I was noticing today and listening to the head of, what's that gentleman's name?
Wheels, you've got to turn him up a little bit in my headsets. Ride that gain, buddy. Ride that gain. Thank you. Go ahead, Doug.
Anyway, the head of ICE was talking today, and he said there is a 300% increase of people coming into this country with children that are not the biological parents.
That's exactly right. Absolutely. I've got a story right here that verifies that, for heaven's sakes. I just had it on the air a few minutes ago when I was talking to that lovely lady, and it's proven fact that leftists are using illegal immigrant children as political pawns, many of which are not their parents when they cross the border.
That's exactly right. And Candace Owens said it best. I read a bill that she wrote, and she says, ripping children from their mother's wombs is called choice. Giving more money to black women to keep the father of their children out of the home is called welfare.
Yeah.
If you have been taking Democrats seriously these last couple of days, the joke's on you.
Let me ask you a question, and let's get right down to the blunt part of this story. I was criticized many, many times with hate emails and, I'm a neo-Nazi for my thinking and everything, but we have got to draw the line somehow. What is the attitude of your particular church, your particular pastor, and your particular church council on this? Are they going to sit back and say, you all come in, come on, we'll take care of you? Or are they going to use common sense and realize we cannot be the sponge to absorb all of the world's populace? What's going to happen in your church?
Well, unfortunately, the Lutherans, their missionary deals have been helping the Syrians come in.
Yep.
Through the government, and I am opposed to that.
I am too.
And so they don't think like I think. Unfortunately, I think personally they're using that to get more money for the church because the government's paying them to help distribute these.
Let's look at this immigration.
Where are they locating them? They're locating them in the low-income areas.
That's right.
They're not putting them where the people are calling for them
That's right.
to come in. They're not putting them in their neighborhood.
Let's look at this issue, Doug, real quick, and calls are welcome, but I want you to explain this back to me, how you feel about this statement. Let's assume that you have season tickets, and Wheels, ride the gain on the feedback a little bit, please. Let's assume that you have season tickets for your favorite football team, okay? And all the stadium seats are sold out. And everybody is there about a half hour before kickoff time, and there's not one single seat left in the stadium. And then all of a sudden an announcement comes over the speaker system that says, well, we have about 35,000 people outside the stadium that are coming in to sit down and enjoy the game. They're not ticket holders, but we're going to let them in. So I guess we're going to have to either ask you to give up your seat or leave the stadium for the influx of people. Isn't that the same thing that's happening here in America today?
That's a good analogy. I mean, that's very true. We are bringing people in that don't want to come to this, that want to come to the country for the welfare, but they don't want to come to the country to become Americans to be successful. It's a sad day that we're allowing a few liberals and politicians to dictate to us who and what can come in when they have no consequences on who's going to take care of them and everything.
That's exactly right. I'm sick and tired of the bleeding heart liberals like Oprah Winfrey and all the others that are sitting there with tears welling up in their eyes and saying, well, they've got to come into your neighborhood, but of course where they live they're going to be not affected whatsoever. The ultra rich do not understand the cost of what's happening in America. They couldn't care less, but they're playing the bleeding heart syndrome.
Exactly. They live in gated communities and have armed guards, but they do not want that for every American.
I made a statement earlier I want you to respond to quickly, and then I've got to get a weather forecast on here, and I'm going to stand behind this. I took some criticism over this the other day. I said this earlier in this hour, we are actually afraid someone may become offended with our traditions and activities. And Doug, if you're honest, you're going to say that you agree with me because it's happening.
It is happening. If they don't agree with the way we celebrate and our holidays and our American flag, then they don't need to be in this country, period.
I agree.
And the Democrats, I kind of compare them to Hamas, where they're taking the children and using them in front, standing behind the children to get something pushed through. And that's exactly what they're doing.
I agree.
Hamas puts the kids out in front so they get shot, so they can scream, Israel kills children. Democrats are putting kids in front of them to scream, the Republicans don't have a heart. They don't love children.
I'll tell you what, this situation had better come to a boiling point and a head in the next couple of days. And I certainly hope that the Trump administration does not weaken on this. We cannot, and we should not, be the sponge absorbing all of the world's people. I go back and said what I said a minute ago, that if it comes to foreign aid to countries like Honduras, El Salvador, wherever, we cut the money until they develop programs to keep their people in their countries.
Well, and they travel through Mexico to get here.
That's right.
So Mexico should be, hey, you keep letting these people travel through, no more aid, buddy.
I agree. Doug, quickly give us your 15-second spiel. I got another call.
All righty. God bless. Everybody, let's do what we can for our senior centers. Remember, the seniors built this country that we are enjoying, so it's time for us to take care of them.
Thank you, Doug. I appreciate it. Caller number 2, I'm going to ask you a favor. If you would just have the patience to bear with me, I've got a quick weather forecast to get on here, and I'll be right with you. Do not hang up, please. I want to remind everybody about Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, and with the 2 wonderful doctors of hearing over there, Dr. Pickup and Dr. Mitchell, please call for an appointment today, 312-0957. They can help, and they will help. They're dedicated to serving people with hearing loss of all ages and their families. At Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, that number again, 312-0957. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
We're expecting expecting some more precipitation today. Here's your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch. We are expecting isolated showers and scattered thunderstorms by this afternoon. Hopefully we'll see a little bit of sunshine, partly sunny with a high of 71. Winds out of the west-southwest right around 8 miles an hour. Tonight, more isolated showers and thunderstorms are possible before midnight as we move into the overnight hours. Expecting mostly clear skies with a low of 50. Tomorrow, mostly sunny skies. High of about 80 for Wednesday night. Clear skies with a low of 54. Thursday, mostly sunny and 85. And as we move into the weekend on Friday, mostly sunny and 80. That's your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
She does a great job on that weather. Located right behind the Minidoka Hospital across from the emergency room. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Call today for a hearing screening, 312-0957. Caller, you've been so patient. Thank you. Go, please.
Did you watch the news last night?
Well, what portion? What portion?
Thing down in Texas.
I did see that, Lorna. Go ahead. Yes.
Well, they were putting the people in what they called cages, but 9/10 of those children were young men. There were very few little children.
We do
all guys bigger than me.
Yeah. We do not know, nor is there any paperwork. There's no validation. There's nothing. Lorna, you are you're a very nice lady. And I know you're very kind and you're very gracious and you've been so nice to us. But really, when these people start playing the heartstrings on you and me and everyone else in regards to, we've got to help the children, let them in. Do you realize that we cannot take everybody? We cannot be the catch-all and the end-all for everybody's problems in the world, or it's going to bankrupt us. Do you agree with that or disagree with that?
Most definitely, I agree. It's just ridiculous, and it's ridiculous for the news media to get out there and do the things they're doing, too.
I'm so thankful that you called because we need people from all facets of life and all ages to call and voice opinions on this, because I think the news media, the very liberal news media, is duping people that don't take the time to look into the situation and really understand what's happening. And they're pointing their fingers at people like you and people like me, and they're condemning and damning us because they call us un-American because we're not sympathizing with this problem. I'm sympathizing with it, but we can't take care of everyone.
No, we can't. And there's no reason why those people should have all come from South America or wherever they came from and come up through Mexico to get here.
Absolutely. Lorna, you are always a treasure. Thank you. See you at Lunch Bunch on Thursday. Thank you.
All righty.
God bless.
And you have a great day.
Thank you. You're a very nice lady, and she is. Very nice. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget, oh my goodness, it's today. Stoats Equipment, and they are your John Deere dealer at 119 Overland and Burley. Ag Minute starting at 9:47. Don't miss it, featuring agriculture and the people and events you need to know about right here in Magic Valley. Stoats Equipment, Ag Minutes, 9:47. All right, calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Nothing, and I know this sounds calloused, but nothing sells on television or in a print form ad than a child looking at the camera with a forlorn face asking you to do something. Nothing sells like that. It's been used, and quite frankly, abused, by a lot of advertisements for a lot of different things. Right now, to be very cold and calloused, it's the Democrats using this to get their way with an open borders campaign. Anybody and everybody come on in, because quite frankly, the Democrats want that voting constituency. Let's call it what it is. I just absolutely am afraid about our community, our culture, our area's personality. And I'm sure there's people back in the Midwest that could say the same about what their culture and community is like, that they want to keep. Or maybe down in the Southeast, or maybe up in the Northeast, on the West Coast, whatever the case might be. There are people that are very happy and proud of their culture and community, and they don't want to see it changed, destroyed, or put asunder. But that's what's happening with the influx of people. We're, like I said a moment ago, we're actually afraid, and this has been a proven fact, we're actually afraid someone may become offended with our traditions and activities and our culture and demand that it stop. Calls welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I got to tell you that there's two other stories I wanted to get on here this morning that I found so repulsive and so antagonizing that some of the verbiage that I used early this morning when I was writing this up was not acceptable for family airtime on this program. I am absolutely livid. One of which is in Dallas, Texas. The mayor of Texas, and I'm going to talk more about this tomorrow on the program, the mayor of Dallas, Texas, made the Christian church down there, the Baptist church, take down a billboard that said, "America is a Christian nation." He was upset about it, and the mayor said, "Oh no, that's hate-filled and divisive." You cannot imagine my response when I heard about that story. The next story that I wanted to get on this morning, and I'm going to take some time for, a absolutely stupid Chicago education principal invited a known cop hater and a person that has put on his website that he supports cop shooting. You're not going to believe this, but this principal of the school, this elementary school, invited this vile, worthless human being to speak at Career Day. And this nincompoop got up in front of the class and started telling the kids how they should hate all the police and dishonor the police, and then joked about killing all the police in front of these school kids. And this idiotic, absolutely should have never been hired principal brought him in to speak at Career Day? The next day, the principal retired early. You know, folks, this is insanity. We are losing the moral values, the ethical values, the family values of this country, thanks to a bunch of liberal idiots. I know I'll get criticized because I call them idiots. Well, I couldn't think of a stronger word. This is insanity. We're letting this country go down the toilet, and quite frankly, by not doing anything, we're the ones that are flushing it. It's got to stop. It's got to stop. America is a Christian nation. And that was said by many people, including the Supreme Court years and years and years ago. And to say to a cop hater and wanton cop killer, "Oh, please come speak at Career Day. We think you'd be really interesting." What? Let's not forget our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Get ready for a road trip and a safe road trip with the tires that will fit your car, pickup, SUV, horse trailer, boat trailer, camp trailer, all the different tread designs. And believe me, the folks at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, they know tires. They know what's the best for your particular driving and your vehicle. So please, Stop in and see them today. And don't forget, too, that if you're going to leave on a road trip, they've got a free pre-trip safety check, including checking the air pressure in your tires, checking the brake components, the wheel alignment for tire wear, front-end components, shocks and struts, battery, including a load test, all of this and more with our great friends Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley. Absolutely the best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Caller, I've got exactly a minute. Go.
Yep, we've been declared a Christian nation by the Supreme Court more than one time, Zeb. And we are a Christian nation. I don't know the exact percentage of our people that are Christian, but I think it's somewhere around the 80%.
We were founded upon Christian principles. That's exactly right, Jerry. We were founded upon Christian principles. I'm not going to back off for anybody. This is a Christian nation, and if I put up a billboard, they dang sure better not take it down. I've got to run to the news, my dear friend, but I appreciate your call.
I am one of the guys that worships the Lord Jesus Christ as his Savior. And I ask you and your audience, may the Lord bless all of you.
Thank you, Jerry.
Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, my dear friend. Thank you. Got to run to the news, and then coming back after the news, don't miss Megan Barth. She is good. She'll be up at 9:06. Wheels, take it away. Oh, my goodness sakes, welcome back. Hour number 2, Zeb at the Ranch on this Tuesday, June 19th. Brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley. Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations, serving you, along with some of our great advertisers, like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, this good word for our friends at Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this free land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal.
Western Waste Services, and don't forget they've got the porta potties. Oh, you've planned your event. You're going to have a big picnic. You've got all the food, the tables, the chairs, but you forgot the porta potties, the most important part. Give them a call. Western Waste Services, 734-6969, and they are always at your disposal. You call them today. Want to remind you, too, about our dear, dear friends, and they're going to have a great big breakfast, as a matter of fact. Everybody's invited to a free breakfast on the 4th of July, the morning of the 4th of July, at Hanson Mortuary, and before the parade starts at about 8 o'clock in the morning, delicious food. They've started this tradition years ago, and they invite you, so stop by Hanson Mortuary on the 4th. And always remember, Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert, that telephone number 436-5636. Joel Heward, his family, and his staff serving you with the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. And Joel Heward also serving you at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. Real quick, before I get my guest on the air this morning, I want to remind you, too, about Ark Animal Hospital. Yep, they take care of your pets. They keep them healthy. They take care of everything from little bitty kitty cats all the way up to the great big cows. I'm telling you, they are your veterinarians that really, really care. 750 21st Street, near Connection Credit Union in Hayburn. And believe me, a mixed animal practice that wants to keep your pets, your livestock, healthy. Absolutely call them, 678-1177. They do have, at Ark Animal Hospital, warm hearts for cold noses. Well, like I said yesterday to one of my guests, I don't know if their noses are cold, but we'll find out. Good morning, Megan Barth, the co-chair of the Media Quality Project and national spokeswoman for MediaEqualizer.com. Good morning. How are you?
Hi, Zeb. Good morning. Thank you very much. I'm doing well.
Megan, I'm not going to pull any punches. I'm not going to be a nice guy this morning. I'm just going to say it how I feel. I think this immigration mess, if you want to call it immigration, I call it forced illegal entrance into this United States and using these children as the poster person for tears and all the crying and everything is absolutely ridiculous, and it's got to stop. What do we do?
Well, it's political theater at its finest, and the theater is being crafted, the narrative is being crafted by the Democrats and then sold to the American people by the propagandists in the press that support the Democrat narrative. And we witnessed this all weekend long, that every single headline was going to be about the children, the children. It's always about the children with the Democrats, but they never talk about the other aspect of illegal immigration, which is human trafficking. And the human trafficking that has spiked, according to a former federal agent that I talked to here in Nevada, is nearly outpacing drug trafficking across the border. We've had a 300% spike in children crossing the border. And this is because we have many parents from El Salvador, Honduras, Guatemala, and Mexico, all sending their children unaccompanied, but with traffickers like coyotes and smugglers and traffickers. 10,000 children right now were sent alone to journey thousands of miles to reach our border. Number one, if they are coming from outside of Mexico and they are seeking asylum, well, their first stop should be Mexico, because that is how the law is constructed, and that is how the law is to be enforced. But Mexico is allowing these caravans of unaccompanied minors, or at least minors that are in the company of smugglers, to reach our border because of a loophole by which Obama simply ignored or exacerbated by saying if you reach our soil, you simply just claim asylum, and you say that you fear in danger of your life. And so this invasion at our southern border, which has impacted our detention centers more so now because of Trump's policies of building the wall and enforcing our immigration laws, that is what has spiked this human trafficking element, this very ugly side to illegal immigration that the Democrats simply don't want to talk about because their policies are the ones that have created this crisis.
Let me ask you this, Megan, and you're a very sharp lady on the subjects that you visit about on this program or any program. I said in the first hour that if I were President Trump and this administration, I would let the people that are in leadership, if you want to call it that, in El Salvador, Honduras, Mexico, wherever, I would give you 30 days to develop programs to keep your people in your own country and make them responsible in their own country, or I'm cutting off foreign aid. You got 30 days to get it done, or you don't get a check from the good old US of A. What's the matter with that?
There's really nothing wrong with that, except when you're talking about those governments, they are so corrupt. They're really just probably emptying their jails and getting rid of the worst on certain occasions. But you have a very good point. The aid that we provide those countries should be cut off. Look, if we want to end illegal immigration, human smuggling, and human trafficking, you simply close the border. That's what I'm a proponent of. Close the border. Unless the border is for commerce, right? The trucks and such that come through various ports of entry. I would also assign troops at the border. And I would also immediately, and I'm not for executive action. That's why Trump keeps pressing Congress to do their job and to fix this immigration system. The thing that we have to understand here is that we're simply enforcing the law. The law has not been enforced on our border in decades. It was abused by the Barack Obama administration in order to fundamentally transform this country into what I would call a third world hellhole. Because if you have a third world hellhole, you have the utmost dependence that you could ever have upon government, which then grows government, which then makes happy Democrats. And the Democrats are all about the growth of government. The Democrats are all about dependency. When you look at where the Democrats rule for decades, whether that's Detroit or St. Louis or Baltimore or Chicago, you find a high amount of dependency, a high amount of poverty, and a high amount of violence. This obviously makes the Democrats very happy because they've done nothing to change it while they have control of these major metropolitan cities. And so when Barack Obama promised to fundamentally transform this country, he always had in the back of his mind Cloward Piven. What is Cloward Piven? Well, Cloward Piven is an economic model whereby you flood the system with takers instead of makers in order to overthrow capitalism. Well, who better, to import into this country but a bunch of third world, uneducated, non-English speaking, unskilled immigrants who would then either in turn become generationally dependent on this country or flood our systems, like our school systems, with takers who need the English as second language programs, which are taxpayer dollar programs, to require health and medicine, which are provided, quote unquote, for free through our various entitlement programs, and other entitlement programs that these immigrants will go on. That is how you fundamentally transform the country, and that is the basis of the Democrat Party.
Megan, I said also the first hour, and I want you to respond to this comment because I absolutely stand behind it, that we, the citizens of the United States, we're losing our community, we're losing our area of personality, and we're losing it to mixed cultures coming in and fragmentizing the United States. Would you agree or disagree with that?
Well, I would agree, because the more and more immigrants that we allow into this country that have no desire to assimilate, whereby they can find their own communities, non-English speaking communities, in order to provide them protection. I mean, you look at, for example, Mexican immigrants who do not speak English, who have been here for decades, and yet they still do not speak English. They have remedial jobs, whether that's in the fields of agriculture or in the hospitality industry. You know, I was watching a commercial here in Nevada run by the Culinary Union, which is the largest employer in Nevada. And they were interviewing a Guatemalan immigrant who had come here based on a temporary stay program, because I guess Guatemala was rocked by an earthquake or something like that. She's been here for 20 years. I guess that's temporary. She has 4 kids, all Americans, because, of course, she got pregnant here 4 times, and now all their kids are American. She does not still speak English, and she's been here for 20 years.
Oh, my. You know, this is just one example of the idiocy and incompetency that's going on. And added to that list of idiots and incompetencies, you have to throw in House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi calling on Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen, saying that she should be fired and or resign because of her handling of the migrant children. This is insanity.
Yeah, and Kamala Harris is also parroting Nancy Pelosi. They're both San Francisco limousine liberals. You know, there's never a crisis that the Democrats will let go to waste, and if there isn't a crisis, they'll simply invent one. The crisis related to these children in detention centers isn't the air-conditioned detention centers we provide for them. It's not the education or the food that we provide for them. It's not the cots and the beds that we provide for them and the health care that we provide for them. The crisis is the fact that their parents sent 10,000 children, not with their parents, unaccompanied from their parents, with human traffickers, coyotes. This is the crisis that the Democrats have created that they do not want to talk about. So if there's any Republican in authority listening to your show, change the conversation to human trafficking. Because human trafficking is the most dangerous, insidious aspect of illegal immigration that the Democrats don't want to talk about. They don't want to talk about the rape trains, and I don't know if you've heard about the rape trains But these are the trains that go from Mexico to the Southern California border, where many small, young children, whether they are female or male, girls or boys, are raped. They have a name for it. It's called rape trains, and this is what should be leading the discussion. Not the detention centers, but the fact that many of these minors who are with coyotes and smugglers are being abused, they're being raped, they're being kidnapped, they are being used by the drug cartels, they are being trafficked for sex, they are being trafficked for drugs, and if they do find a way to our detention center, then actually that's the most merciful part of their journey that they have found. And so we are a merciful nation. We are a caring nation. But we are simply also a nation of laws. And these are the laws on the books that all of these unaccompanied children, we have to identify where they are from, who their parents are, and if they have a next of kin or a blood relative here in order to release them. But what now has happened is because Trump has enforced our immigration laws, anyone who crosses our border illegally is going to be returned. Hallelujah. That is how it should be. If you want to come to this country, you do so legally.
Let me ask you this. I think this next portion of our society, I'm going to say, is as complicit with the problem as anything. And I damn and condemn the news media for siding with the liberals on this, the Democrats, and exacerbating the problem to the American public. What are your thoughts about my condemnation of the media?
Well, this is why we fight the media at MediaEqualizer.com, and this is why I have started my own personal blog, ReaganBabe.com. I was not seeing truth in the headlines. The media is simply an agent of the Democrat Party. They are simply the water carriers, the water boys of the Democrat Party. So whatever the headline needs to be, the Democrats will craft the headline, and the media will push the narrative. The Democrats own the media owns the narrative, and the narrative is everything. The narrative will convince, low-educated people in order to believe the headlines. You really have to get beyond the headlines to find the truth, because the media are no longer the providers of truth, the writers of truth, or the reporters of truth, or the finders of truth. They simply report a narrative crafted by the Democrat Party.
Megan, a couple of final thoughts here. First of all, what's the answer? Are the Republicans and this administration going to cave? Are they going to turn into marshmallows and accept and adopt the principles of the Schumers and the Pelosi's, etc.? What do you think? Give a little speculation here. What do you think is going to probably or maybe try to solve this problem?
Well, I would hope that the Republicans would have a backbone. I would hope that they realize that elections have consequences. I hope that they would realize that they have the power of the purse and the power of the Congress and the power of the executive branch in order to do the job on behalf of the American people who elected this president to build the wall, secure our borders, and protect our sovereignty. The Democrats can howl and bellow all they want. They do not have the power to make the changes that they would want to make, which are open borders. That is what this comes down to. This is an open borders issue versus a sovereignty issue. And as Trump texted this morning, a country without laws or a nation without laws is not a nation. We have laws on the books. If these laws need to be changed, then change them, but do not change them in accordance to what the Democrats want, because what the Democrats ultimately want is open borders.
What is your thought as far as the Trump administration and what they've done so far to adhere to promises in the campaign as to what's happening during his first year and a half of being president versus what the Democrats are standing up and saying they will not allow? I mean, this is a political football, and I honestly believe the immigration issue is the biggest and toughest issue that's going to face Trump in this first 4 years. Am I wrong?
No, because this immigration issue has been boiling underneath the surface for the past few decades. couple decades. It was exacerbated by the Barack Obama administration, like I said, because he needed to fundamentally transform this country by importing low-skilled, non-English speaking immigrants into this country. And so, yes, I think it's going to be one of the biggest issues. But Donald Trump has laid out his needs in order to move forward on an immigration bill, and the Democrats simply don't want. I mean, if you remember, Zeb, Trump came out for DACA, and he says, I'll give you 1.8 million DACA recipients a pathway to citizenship, and the Democrats said no. No. So the Democrats need to get on record of exactly what their immigration plan looks like, what it feels like, and the consequences of it. We can't forget that it was Ted Kennedy that basically ruined our country with the amendment that allowed anchor babies. And at the time, he told us, oh, this is going to change the demographics of the country. Well, yes, it did. And so now we have that loophole, too. I think that Donald Trump needs to remain strong. We can't forget the chant, build the wall. Immigration was a huge driver, if not one of two drivers, the top two drivers behind his election into the presidency. And so Republicans must stand firm. I don't want to see the Gang of Eight bill. I don't want to see amnesty. I want to see our borders safe, protected, and our sovereignty and our culture protected.
Amen.
And our way of life protected. And so I think that the Republicans need to stand behind this president. Future Republican candidates need to stand behind this president. The moderates and the Democrats alike have given us this problem over the course of years.
Absolutely. Megan, you are absolutely one of my favorite guests to have on this program. Megan Barth, co-chair of the Media Equality Project and the national spokesperson for the MediaEqualizer.com. Megan Barth, God bless. Please come back soon. Thank you.
Anytime. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Tells it like it is, and quite frankly, we need more people like her. Megan Barth, thank you for being on the program this morning. I got to pay some bills here real quick. Wheels, may I please hear this good word for the Silver State Stampede?
PRCA Rodeo Action thunders into Elko, July 13th, 14th, and 15th at the Elko County Fairgrounds. 3 big days for the 2018 Silver State Stampede. Nevada's oldest rodeo is family entertainment at its finest. This PRCA rodeo brings you the thrill of pro riders going head-to-head in one of the toughest sports in the world. Action kicks off Friday, July 13th with mutton busting, a delicious tri-tip dinner, the Calcutta, Old West bronc riding, PRCA rodeo action, the world-famous Ring of Fear, and dancing to the Jeff Palmer Band. Gates open on Friday and Saturday at 4 with mutton busting starting at 6 and rodeo action starting at 7. And on Sunday, gates open at noon with mutton busting at 1 and the rodeo action starting at 2. Tickets on sale now at the Boot Barn and the Elko Chamber Office. Rodeo action at its finest. With the 2018 Silver State Stampede, July 13th, 14th, and 15th at the Elko County Fairgrounds. For more information, contact SilverStateStampede.com.
Don't forget, we go fishing every Thursday right here on Zeb at the Ranch at 10:30. And that's, of course, with our good buddy Josh from Sportsman's Warehouse, 1940 Bridgeview Boulevard in Twin Falls. I mean, they've got all the equipment. They've got everything for your fishing needs, hunting needs, camping needs, everything, the clothing, the guns, the ammo, the food. It's all there at Sportsman's Warehouse, 1940 Bridgeview Boulevard in Twin Falls. And we have that fishing program, the Old Fishing Hole, on Thursdays at 10:30. Don't you miss it. By the way, too, I want to remind you about our friends over at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Hello, Jeff and the rest of the crew over at Lee's Furniture. I tell you every day on this program about all the exceptional people that work there helping you, serving you at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland and Burley. They've got all the furniture, the recliners and the reclining sofas, the love seats, the table and chair sets, the kitchen sets, everything, and the best selection of mattresses around. And I'll tell you what, all your carpeting, all your flooring, it's all there for the beautification and the comfort of your home. Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More, 459 Overland and Burley. You stop in and see those good people. today. By the way, before we go with our Vicky's Country Garden, I want to remind you, too, about our good friends at Let's Ride. Oh, my goodness, if you haven't been over there lately and checked out an ATV, you don't have an ATV? Well, they've got the ATVs and a showroom full of them, too. ATVs, side-by-sides, they've got everything, all the watercraft. I mean, get outside and enjoy beautiful Idaho. Absolutely stop over and see them today. Let's Ride at 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. Open Monday through Friday 9 to 6, Saturdays 9 to 4. It's all there. This is where the fun is sold at Let's Ride. Okie dokie, let's see what else have I got to tell you about real quick. I think we are caught up, and when I say that, right now we're going to go over the river and through the woods and the desert in most cases, and we're going to have a lovely lady on the program right now, the lovely Miss Vicky from Vicky's Country Garden at 185 South, 600 West of Paul. Good morning, Vicky.
Good morning, Zeb. Are you a little damp out in your area?
Do I walk on crutches? Hey, I got to tell you something. We were a little worried about you this morning. We couldn't track you down. I was going to call in the FBI.
Oh, don't ever get too panicky. I leave my phone on a charger in my bedroom, and I shut the door on it, and I couldn't hear it.
Well, do you lose your cell phone on occasion?
I would like to throw it away at times, but that's beside the point.
I've had to literally, out in the arena, I've lost it a couple of times, and before I disked and harrowed the arena, I've had to call that number to see where it was in the dirt.
No fun.
Anyhow.
I never really lost my phone. I just kind of, like I said, I have my charger is in my bedroom by my bed, so I leave it on. I have it on the charger, and so then I don't take it off in the morning, and I shut my door, and I go on about my business the other end of the house. I don't hear my phone, so sorry about that.
No.
I was alive and well. Nothing happened to me.
Well, we had the fire department on standby. We had everybody on standby.
Looking firemen if you're sending them.
Okay. Hey, listen, what about all this rain? I mean, maybe I'm seeing an overabundance and maybe it's not, but I can see where it might start a whole bunch of what you call your funguses or fungi. What kind of problems is it going to cause?
This has been a real problem on a lot of gardens. I mean, not all gardens are hit because it's been kind of, these showers been hitting kind of spotty, but when they're hitting, they're really dropping some rain. We've gotten a lot of moisture in the last few days, and the temperatures are staying cold. No sunshine to dry things out. A good hard rain doesn't hurt if you get the sunshine to kind of dry leaves and dry things out a little bit, but when it's 44 degrees at night and rain all night and that type of thing, that gets kind of bad on gardens and stuff, that's for sure.
Well, what about, though, when we see the transition now? Today we're supposed to maybe have a couple of showers passing through with more rain, but then they're calling for Mr. Sun to come out and really warm things up. What do those plants think? Like, holy buckets, I don't know what to expect next. What's going on here?
Well, the plants are going to enjoy the sunshine, and for just a little word of advice for people is, just because that sun's shining out there and it's getting really warm, don't run out and rewater that garden. Give it a chance to dry. Give it a chance to get a little bit of air and let that sunshine warm that ground up and get those plants growing again. You're going to see some really good growth on plants if we get some good sunshine and get them dried out a little bit. If they haven't been drowned, and everybody's watered, and then the rains, and then they water, and then it rains, that gets pretty bad on plants. So give the sun a chance to warm the ground, warm the plants, and they will then, in turn, stand their little heads up and say, okay, I can do this now. It's going to, I can make it. You might consider after we dry out a little bit, before you water the next time, possibly give them a little bit of fertilizer.
No.
Not a heavy dose, but just a nice fertilization to give them some food to want to stand up and give them a little bit of energy, because they've been pretty stressed through all of this wind and rain and cold.
Well, now, what about, I want to go back to what I was talking about a little bit ago, and I did have a lady send a letter in, and she said, would you please have Vicki explain about fungus and what we look for, what we can do for it, etc. Could you do that for us?
Sure. On most plants, you're going to, with fungus starting in, you're going to either, like on tomatoes and that, the starting of it will be usually your tomato leaves get a real dark, almost a black green. They kind of start to roll up just a little bit. Don't look at your bottom leaves. Those are old leaves, and those can be, those just pinch those off and don't pay attention to them anymore, the older bottom leaves. Check your top leaves, your new growth. If it's rolling up, if it's real dark, you unroll it, make sure there's no bugs in there. If that leaf, those leaves are real dark and starting to get some little spots in it, that is fungus. Mm-hmm. On other plants, you're going to find some browning, some brown spots on your leaves. Around the edges, part of the leaf is browning out, that type of thing. Yellowing can be a sign of fungus getting started. Too wet, too cold. Fungus is breeding in there. When soon as the sun hits it, it's going to explode. So it's usually spots, like little brown spots on the leaves that they start small and just kind of get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Okay.
Kind of like a little canker or something like that on a leaf. It's a brown spot that just starts growing as the leaf grows, and it just deteriorates the leaf down, and then it gets into the plant and kills the plant.
Okay, and then what from there? I mean, what do they do?
As soon as you get I'm recommending right now, whether you've got any kind of fungus or blight starting in on your garden right now with all this rain and all this, fungicide your whole garden. Just go over it. As soon as we get some decent weather here, go over that garden with a good fungicide and stop anything from starting.
Okay.
Easier to stop it, use it as a preventative than it is to let it get started. Because then it's really hard to get it out of the plant. It gets down in the plant, and it's hard to get rid of it.
I had another note come in this last week, and this person said, and it's a long, lengthy letter. They talked about my program and everything, but then I'm going to piece this together. Basically, this person got into a real heated conversation with his neighbor about how short to mow the lawn. And he said, I am not available 2-3 times a week to mow my lawn, so I mow it relatively short once a week. And my neighbor criticized and said, I'm hurting my lawn. How would you respond to that?
Well, it depends on how short he's mowing it. If you're scalping a lawn, yes, that's hard on it. They recommend on a lawn to leave it at least an inch, about an inch is about as short as you dare go. Anything lower than that can really almost scalp it. They dry out really fast. It browns the lawn out. 1.5 inches is about a length that is a good, safe length. A lot of people go 2 inches, 2.5 inches, but those are the ones that like to mow on a regular basis. For this fellow, if he can keep his lawn at about an inch or maybe 1.25 inches long, he should be fine.
Okay.
Any shorter than that, and that's basically classified as scalping it, and that can damage roots. The sun gets down, dries the roots out, sunburns, and you can end up losing your lawn.
In accordance with the lawn mowing, what about the pesky old dandelions? What's a good treatment for them?
For the good old dandelions and the little yellow weeds and all of the different little things that happen to come in, especially if you're using secondary water, which is canal water and that type of thing that keeps bringing in all those seeds, the weed-free zone is my favorite to go to. It's a quick kill. It does a really good job, and you can use it early in the spring, late in the fall when the temperatures are down, but you can use it all summer long too.
Okay. Now, I did have go ahead. I'm sorry.
You can just use it on your entire lawn. It is a 2,4-D, so don't get it around roses, don't get it around petunias and broadleaf plants, perennials and that everybody wants to keep, and it will drift. So same thing as always. Watch the weather. Don't spray when the wind's blowing hard. Don't spray when it's going to be above 80, 85 degrees. Wait until it cools down.
Okay, very well stated. I did have a little note, and this lady, she must have really listened over the years, and she said, how come you and Vicky never talk about fish ponds anymore? Are they out of vogue? Nobody has them anymore, or what's going on?
A lot of the ponds and stuff, a lot of people have changed. They aren't doing as many of them. They're not quite as popular as they were because they took a lot of work. I mean, they did. Still got people with them. I still carry some of the supplies, some of the basic supplies for algae and things like that. And I'll still help anybody. I can still get pumps. I can still get all of the products that they need. I just don't stock as much of it as I used to because the Internet kicked in and everybody can buy stuff off the Internet cheaper than we as retailers can even bring it in. So that's kind of what's happened with the pond thing. Still ponds out there. Everybody that has one that knows what they're doing and taking care of it, they enjoy them to no end. But, you know, a lot of people, they got to be too much work for them, so they turned them into flower beds.
Okay. All right, real quick, it's time for the Vicky's Country Garden Tip of the Week.
Okay, well, we've had some bad weather. It's a real crucial time, critical time on gardens right now. It's a real care factor on gardens right now to bring them back up and let them get healthy again. So just because the sun's out, let's give them a chance to dry a little bit. Don't overwater. Don't get the water going too fast on them. Give them a chance to absorb some sunshine. And again, like I said earlier, do a little bit of fertilization. But this next 2 weeks is going to be real critical on getting your garden back up to healthy and back to where you can start a normal watering process. Right now, be very, very, very careful with watering on your garden.
Okay. Vicki, any specials you want to mention at Vicky's Country Garden for this week?
Well, right now, I think this week we're going to be starting 25% off of fruit trees. We're going to be doing some annuals and perennials at 25% off. Our vegetables are already at 25% off. So if you need some stuff to replant in that poor old garden, come in and see us. We've still got some good tomatoes and peppers and things of that nature, and we can help you with all your 4th of July stuff.
All right.
Everything to spruce up the yard, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Vicky's Country Garden at 185 South, 600 West of Paul. The number to call, 438-5663. What about the hours? I know you're open a long time, but tell everybody.
Okay, we are open. At this point in time, we are open 9 to 6, Monday through Saturday. And I don't think we'll be open on Sundays anymore. I usually try to open when it's just convenient for people to get their gardens and stuff in. It's slowed down enough to where we probably won't be open on Sundays from here on out. But we are 9 to 6, Monday through Saturday. And if you need something on Sunday, I'm going to be watering. Just call me ahead of time. Let me know when you're going to be here, and I'll meet you and get you loaded with bark, rock, or whatever.
Wonderful lady. And by the way, the lost is found, and we are all the better for it. Thank you so much. Lovely Miss Vicky at Vicky's Country Garden.
All right. Thanks, Zeb.
Take care. Thank you, Vicki. Oh, I love that lady, and I love having her on the program. She's extremely well-versed in gardening and all the landscaping, you know, to beautify your property, and I know a lot of people are going to try to get that done before the 4th of July. Get a hold of her at Vicky's Country Garden, and the number, 438-5663, and she's located on the Burley Paul Highway, 185 South, 600 West of Paul. Excellent. Thank you very much. You know what I think we'll do right now is have a weather forecast, and the weather brought to you this hour by our friends at Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company. You know, it's so true. They can and they will help you, your family, and your business because they've been providing accounting services to the Mini-Cash area for well over 50 years. That's a long time. Tax return preparation, tax planning, business consulting, retirement planning, etc. They are there to serve you, your family, your business, and they have 2 offices, Burley and Rupert. Remember the name, Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
We're expecting some more precipitation today. Here's your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch. We are expecting isolated showers and scattered thunderstorms by this afternoon. Hopefully we'll see a little bit of sunshine, partly sunny with a high of 71. Winds out of the west-southwest, right around 8 miles an hour. Tonight, more isolated showers and thunderstorms are possible before midnight as we move into the overnight hours. expecting mostly clear skies with a low of 50. Tomorrow, mostly sunny skies, high of about 80 for Wednesday night. Clear skies with a low of 54. Thursday, mostly sunny and 85. And as we move into the weekend on Friday, mostly sunny and 80. That's your weather forecast for Zip at the Ranch.
Man, I tell you what, it's hard to beat that kind of a forecast. Thank you, Gina. Appreciate that. And brought to you by our friends that can absolutely help people starting a business or a corporation or expanding their business, hiring more employees. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. Absolutely the best in accounting services to you with offices in Burley and Rupert. Mighty fine folks. Let me see. I got a public service announcement here I need to get on. And Gary Shoresman and Modern Woodmen of America, they're going to have an event held at the Rupert Elks starting at noon on Saturday, June 23rd. It's a benefit for the DeMary Library and Minidoka County Museum. There's going to be a light lunch at noon, an extremely informative PowerPoint presentation about Camp Rupert, which was 4 miles west of Paul, and that's where the Italian and German prisoner of war camp was located. This is really going to be interesting, and it's a benefit, as I said, for the DeMary Library and Minidoka County Museum on Saturday, June 23rd. Put on by one of the best, and that's, of course, our dear friend, Gary Shoresman. I want to remind you, too, about our good folks over at Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. You know, when you think about the life insurance and the health insurance and the retirement planning and the employee benefits, talk to people that are dedicated to serving you. Absolutely, and very accessible and devoted to serving all the folks in this area. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. How do you get a hold of them? What do you do to get an appointment? You call them. Simple. 436-4424. Make an appointment and they will help you. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. You call them today. Well, you know, about 3 weeks ago, we started a segment called the Stotz Equipment Ag Minutes. And, of course, Stotz Equipment, your John Deere dealer at 119 Overland in Burley, and featuring agriculture and the people and events you need to know about right here in Magic Valley. Let's listen right now to the manager, Vic, at Stotz Equipment with the Ag Minute for this week.
Welcome to Stotz Equipment Ag Minutes, featuring innovative ideas and people that are dedicated to serving agriculture and you. Stotz Equipment, your John Deere authorized dealer, 119 Overland Avenue in Burley. They make your life easier. 5 words sum up Stotz Equipment's dedication to serving you. Quality, integrity, loyalty, caring, and community. Stotz Equipment is your John Deere equipment dealer, providing everything from tractors to combines, swathers to lawnmowers. At Stotz Equipment, they care about their customers, and like their slogan says, we make your life easier. From large ag farm equipment to small compact utility tractors, Stotz Equipment works diligently for local customers to get the best deals. Stotz Equipment, 119 Overland in Burley. Stop in and see them today. On the phone this morning with Vic Carataccia, store manager of Stotz Equipment, your John Deere dealer. Good morning, Vic. How are you?
Good morning, Sunshine.
I've been called a lot worse. I love that. Thank you. You know, you've got something for everybody and every need right there at Stotz Equipment, and I was highly impressed when I was in there a couple of days ago. I mean, whether it's the lawnmowers or whatever, all the way to the Traeger grills, we'll talk about that in just a moment. But really, for horse property owners, small farms, tell us a little bit about how you serve them.
Well, we like to be known as basically we're here as a one-stop shop, and we try to bring in any kind of equipment or vendors that add value to our current line of equipment, which is primarily John Deere, and then also we have the Kuhn line and Lemken and Schulte and other vendors that are quality. But we want to add more than that. We want to make sure that we take care of all their needs. Whether you're just a backyard push mower, we have the Honda line, or you need a generator to go hunting or camping or whatever you need, we have that. We sell the Yeti coolers so that when you're out there irrigating and you're trying to get things done, it's hot, you got a nice ice cold Gatorade or water in your whatever your flavor is in the back of your cooler. The Traeger smokers, when you work hard all day long, you want to come home to a nice ribeye steak, and there's nothing better than a Traeger smoker to cook that steak, turkey, or ham. And so we try to cater to everybody and bring quality in here to our customers, and we try to keep everything in stock. And in fact, we just added another $500,000 worth of inventory and parts and merchandise, so we're a little over $1 million. When we first started, we were at $450,000. So chances are, if we don't have it, we can get it with our 25 stores in 8 states.
You know, Vic, the thing is about whether it's a small farm or a horse operation, folks can rest assured that you've got the equipment that might fit into those smaller condensed areas, and including also equipment to help work those riding arenas, too.
Absolutely. So we kind of specialize, and I don't like to categorize anybody, but if you're just a small property owner and you have 3 or 4 acres and you need a zero-turn mower, or you need a rotary mower to pull behind your tractor, you need to do a little leveling or dirt moving, we have all those tools here. And we also have, let's say that you have an arena, we have an Arena-vator that we carry that will actually fluff up that arena after you go out there and rope for a while, and it cleans it right up, makes it look really nice and professional. We have other equipment, too, for people that need specialty items, and like I said, if we don't have it, we'll get it for you. There's really not a whole lot between our organization that we don't carry, as long as it's quality. If we don't have quality, then I'm sorry, you'll have to go down to somewhere else, but we want to make sure whatever we're representing represents you and in a good, positive way.
Well, let's talk about that quality for a moment. I mean, the John Deere line. I mean, I've had a John Deere riding lawnmower for about 13 years, and I mean, the quality. What makes John Deere and their quality stand out?
Well, it's hard to put in one word. I went back and did the fly-in, too, back in Moline, and got to go to the combine factory and tractor factory. But I think if everybody had an opportunity to go back and fly in and visit those factories and meet the people there that are building those every day, I was amazed with all of the quality checks they have in place, the attitude of the people. John Deere has been around forever, and started out with a steel plow that changed it, and I think that's kind of the beginning of it, where Mr. John Deere took a regular cast iron plow and turned it into a steel plow, and innovation came into place and produced a better plow that made his name and started him into the tractor business, and it's never stopped. So innovation is probably the biggest thing, and always being on the cutting edge of all technology, whether it's your GPS needs, AMS, making sure that you have 0 to 1 accuracy, precision ag, so that we're doing everything we can to make you as efficient as possible, because with the cost of fuel, the cost of fertilizer, water, and everything goes into it, it really has to be precise, and we try to do everything, and John Deere supplies that technology and expertise, and it goes to our customers and to our dealers to help represent them in the best possible manner.
Lots of things going on for the summer, and real quick, if they're going to have an outdoor barbecue or whatever, and the 4th of July looming around the corner, you've got those Traeger grills, those smokers, and the Yeti coolers, like you said. Just elaborate a little bit about turning into a Chef Boyardee standing by that Traeger grill.
Well, so we cook, we have a customer lunch the first Friday every month, and so I consider myself a pretty good cook. I'm a good Dutch oven cook, but the Traeger makes me an excellent cook. And I always tell everybody, if it can make a hot dog or a piece of bologna taste better, then you know it's a Traeger. And the Yeti coolers they're just phenomenal as far as how long ice will last in them. But yeah, we have all your spices, we have all your barbecue sauces and all your pellets, and we're really, really competitive on pricing. And we try to do everything for our customers, give them a great quality product at the very least amount of money.
Vic Carataccia, store manager of Stoats Equipment Company, your John Deere dealer. They make your life easier. Thanks for listening to Stoats Equipment's Ag Minutes, your John Deere equipment dealer at 119 Overland in Burley. At Stoats, they want to make your life easier. I'll tell you what, wonderful people, and I just really enjoy going in there and seeing Vic. Great folks at Stoats Equipment in Burley. Thank you very much. Hey, coming around the corner and peek around that corner, and it's all set. The Rupert 4th of July celebration for 2018. Holy moly, are they going to have fun. And a lot of great merchants over in that area are inviting you to come by and enjoy all the activities at the Rupert 4th of July celebration, including Snyder's Surplus Incorporated at 116 South, 200 West of Rupert. Oh, my goodness. They've got everything from ammunition to mess kits and hats to boots. You name it, it's all there at Snyder's Surplus. And again, the address, 116 South, 200 West of Rupert. And I guarantee if you need it, you may find it right there at Snyder's Surplus. Thank you very much. And a great friend of this program and a super friend of the state of Idaho, and the way he's represented us, Senator Kelly Anthon, would like to invite everybody to come to the Rupert Square during the 4th of July celebration. There really is going to be something for everyone. Help celebrate Rupert's great, great year. The 4th of July fun and festivities in Rupert. From the great food, the fireworks, horse racing, everything. Senator Kelly Anthon invites you to come on over to the Rupert 4th of July celebration. Holy cow, I got time for one quick call. Give me a jingle on the landline, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. Love to hear what you have to say. I think the door just opened up, and they rolled the red carpet down the hallway with his entourage, and that means Dr. History is going to be here in just a few minutes. A story that really upset me this morning when I heard about this, Kansas. Of all states, Kansas, in the heartland of America, they voted down the voter ID law. And like I was listening to one commentator this morning say, my goodness, it's just creating havoc. Anybody and everybody is going to be able to go to the polls and vote, really without any proof of who they are or what they are. And this is insanity. Kansas, of all states, voting down the voter ID law. Absolutely repulsive. Let me take a look here. What we've got cooking for the rest of the morning. At 10:06, Dr. History is going to be here in the studio talking to us. And then at 10:30, we're going to talk about free speech and whether it's on the wane with our First Amendment or not. We have a gentleman from the Pacific Legal Foundation coming on the air. His name is Wen Fa, and he's going to be on the air talking about our First Amendment rights and what's happening. So don't miss that coming up in the next hour. And tomorrow on the program, we're going to be talking to some folks over in Rupert about the great big Rupert 4th of July celebration. We are going to talk about immigration from a lady that lives right down there on the border area, Maria Espinoza, and also Dave Bigo back in Indianapolis, Indiana. Right now, I'm going to take a little break, and I'm going to visit with my good buddy, Dr. History, and find out what he's going to talk about this morning, and we're going to turn it back over to Wheels at our main studios. Take us up to CBS News, old buddy. I'll be back in about 7 minutes. Oh, my goodness sakes, good morning and welcome back. I don't know what happened to Dr. History, but all of a sudden he jumped up from the desk and ran out the door. I don't know if the law's after him or what the reason is. I lost him. Hey, I want to remind you about the great Rupert 4th of July celebration. It's going to be with the theme, America, Let's Celebrate. And it's going to be starting on Saturday, June 30th at 6 o'clock in the morning, and that's going to be for the Christmas lighting breakfast right there on the Rupert Square, and then every day after that, my goodness sakes, horse races and patriotic programs and mutton busting at the fairgrounds, and of course the Firecracker 500 lawnmower race. Everything for your fun and enjoyment at the 2018 4th of July schedule of events over in Rupert, Idaho. Gonna be fun. You be there. The Rupert 4th of July celebration. Well, he is back after chasing buffalo on foot up at Yellowstone Park and elsewhere. Good morning, Dr. History.
Good morning, Zeb. How you doing today?
Oh, peachy wonderful.
You always are.
Not really, but the truth will never be told. You have some information that you'd like to share with us about the, not prehistoric man, but the
incredible petrified man.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, we talked about him.
Yeah.
And they pretty much know that his name was Brigadier General Thomas Francis Meagher.
What branch or what part of the service? The Army or what?
I'm not sure.
Oh, okay.
But one of our good listeners by the name of Ken Meagher, with the same last name, has sent me some information that I'm going to share sometime with you about this General Meagher. But I want to thank Ken for sending me this information, and I'm going to try to get a hold of Ken and talk to him. And
could we get him on the air?
We could do that. I will call him and visit with him and see what we can do.
So the gist of what happened was he listened to the program, and you mentioned his relative's name of Colonel Meagher.
Yeah, General Meagher.
General Meagher. And this man got a hold of you, and this gentleman had also written a college paper on his relative.
Right. And he's not sure if it's a relative, so he's still checking on that.
Oh. Okay.
But I want to thank him for because he sent me this paper that he wrote in college about. But he only goes up to the point where he's still alive. So we're going to see what we can find out about that.
May I ask you a dumb question?
Sure.
What petrified him?
I was going to look that up, and I never have. I don't know. It was incredible.
There's a lot of things that have scared me motionless, but I'm not petrified.
We'll work on that.
Hey, you're going to be talking about a guy today that was not such a good guy down in Texas.
No.
And who's this?
His name is King Fisher.
Okay.
So this starts out, there's a sign on the road. It says, "This is King Fisher's road. Take the other one."
No kidding.
Yeah. So that was a kind of a crude sign that most men did what it said. That was the way it was in the 1870s down in what they call Eagle Pass country of South Texas.
Was that over Eagle Pass? Is that over kind of in the southwest portion headed towards Alpine?
I'm not exactly sure. I just know that it's just in that southern part of Texas. Okay. So I'm not exactly sure. But anywhere, there's rustlers from both sides of the border, hostile Indians of several tribes, a choice collection of, I guess we would call it the trash of the border country.
Kind of a real good American neighborhood.
Yeah. So, beside the detachments of the tiny frontier army, there was really hardly any law in the Eagle Pass country. And what law was there was mostly the Texas Rangers.
Yeah.
And there weren't many. They didn't have enough to really cover the ground. But from time to time, special companies were formed. One of these was commanded by a remarkable man by the name of Captain Lee McNelly. Now, McNelly's job was to bring some sort of peace to this section of South Texas because it was continually being plagued with robbery, murder, ranch burning, rustling. So in April of 1875, when McNelly took command, 5 ranches had been burned by masked men in a single week. So it was chaos.
Was it a roving gang that...
I think it was just different groups of men that decided this was a good place to break the law. So that's what they did.
Okay.
But McNelly headed a tough, capable bunch of about 40 Rangers, but things were about to change. Among other things, McNelly ordered that any prisoner captured was to be killed at once if an attempt were made to free him. So it was obvious that this guy meant business. If you captured a bad guy and he tried to get away, just kill him. Just shoot him. So, now one particular group of offenders was a large band operating out of Mexico, and McNelly caught up with them before they could make it back across the border. The final score was Rangers 16, Criminals 1.
Wow.
But there was always more scum to track, and one of the Rangers...
Say that again real fast.
There was always more scum to track. And one of the Rangers' targets was this guy, and his name was John King Fisher.
Uh-huh.
Now,
that really was his name.
Yeah, John King Fisher. And he had a reputation for rustling cattle to kind of build up his own herds, which was not a uncommon thing.
Mm-hmm.
He was a famous figure already, and he was destined to become even more famous. Now, even down in South Texas, where killings were regular and plentiful and hard men were everywhere, there was a scarcity of men who wanted to tangle with this, and he was young at the time, Fisher. Nobody knew for sure how many men he had killed. Nobody knows to this day, but every man knew he was greased lightning with a Colt. He was fast with his gun.
Now, this was about 1876?
Yeah, 75, 76, right in there.
Okay.
Yeah. But he was one of just a few truly ambidextrous, and for those people, I'm going to explain that to you, Zeb.
Well, that means he can walk 1 foot at a time.
Well, I thought I'd explain that to you. In other words, he could shoot left or right handed just as fast as he could either side.
Wow.
So he was good. Nobody wanted to mess with this guy.
Okay.
Now, John King Fisher was born in Collin County, Texas in 1854. His father was named Job Fisher, moved west and supported himself by running cattle and working as a freight teamster. King Fisher moved with him, but in 1869, his dad, Job Fisher, sent his son to live with relatives, and he was kind of a handsome guy. And I'm going to show you a picture. See, he's not a bad-looking guy. He doesn't look bad,
You know who he looks like? And I better not say on the air because he resembles somebody that you and I know very well.
Okay, well, we better not mention his name.
Yeah, come to think of it, we better not.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this guy was a bad dude.
Okay. So he was a handsome-looking guy. He grew to be a top rider and a tenacious, ferocious fist fighter. So he was one tough guy. So, but he was also kind of quiet. He was popular. He might have grown up to become a pillar of the community.
That sounds just like the guy I'm talking about.
So he was doing really good. But this changed the day he, quote, borrowed somebody else's stallion.
Uh-oh.
He used it only a little while, the story goes, to chase his own stray horse. But the stallion's owner was not real happy with this, and King was arrested. Eventually, he escaped from custody, and he went to a place called Goliad, Texas. Now, have you heard of that?
Yeah, because that's down by the Alamo.
Okay, all right. But trouble followed him. In the fall of 1870, Fisher and an older man were indicted for housebreaking in Goliad. He was convicted, and at the tender age of only 16, he's only 16 now, and he's already doing this stuff.
He's a juvenile delinquent.
So he was shipped off to do 2 years in the state prison in Huntsville.
Huntsville, still there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, he was pardoned after only 4 months, presumably because of his age. You know, he was young.
Yeah.
But he left Goliad for greener pastures. His trail led south to the lawless corner between the Nueces and the Rio Grande, down that way.
Yep.
In the 1870s, this area was crawling with, and I'm going to use the word they use here, scum of every description, rustlers, fugitive, bandits, from both sides of the border.
Yeah.
Either way.
Sounds like the Republicans and the Democrats.
Yeah, as well as, of course, the Indians, the Apaches, the Kiowa, Comanche. Well, in this same area, there was also a few honest people. Among those was a guy by the name of Doc White. Now, he was a man who was slowly building a cattle empire in this really rough, almost war zone area.
Yeah.
Well, he and the other ranchers needed help to just hold on, and Fisher was kind of the guy they thought would handle this. So a man had to be his own law, so they hired him. And other than the tiny U.S. Army, which was busy chasing Indians, the only law enforcement was the Texas Rangers, which I mentioned. They only had like 40 of these guys to cover all of that, thousands and thousands of acres.
Wow.
So,
okay.
Anyway, so the ranchers helped themselves, and John King Fisher helped the ranchers. He perfected his shooting with a lot of good practice, and he was kind of feared by a lot of people, just his reputation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, in spite of the odds, however, Fisher began to make an impression on the lawless people, on the outlaws, particularly on the rustlers who raided up out of Mexico. He shot quickly, he shot straight, and he was tireless on the trail of cattle or horse thieves, and they began to fear him. They didn't want to mess with this guy.
This is
King Fisher.
Okay.
John King Fisher.
All right.
So he was helping out the ranchers in that area. All right. Now, by this time, he'd kind of filled out. He was a charming, pleasant 6-footer who tipped the scales at about 185 pounds. He was a handsome man, dark hair, broad shoulders. He had one brown eye and one black eye.
Well, black because he got hit.
I don't know. But he began to pay real close attention to his appearance.
I see.
And when he really wanted to put on the dog, as we would say,
yes,
he was something to behold.
A German Shepherd.
I'm going to tell you about that. Okay, so around the crown of his huge sombrero, he wore a solid gold band.
Really?
Okay, and the rest of his apparel was equally magnificent, a gold-embroidered Mexican jacket covered with the finest of silk shirts.
Wow.
And the whole effect was finished off with silk scarves,
silk,
spectacular leather chaps, and the finest of boots. And topping it all off, he had a pair of pearl-handled six guns.
Mm-hmm.
Pearl handle.
And in 1876, that's when the Colt Peacemaker revolver really became famous, and I'm sure that's probably what he had.
I'm sure it was, but so he cut quite a figure in this little metropolitan area.
Area.
Small metropolitan.
I see.
And he was popular with all kinds of ladies, not just for his handsome face and his fine clothing, but very courteous, good nature. He danced gracefully with all the women at the celebrations. He was always, as a couple of them later said, a perfect gentleman.
Sounds like James Bond.
Yeah. And Fisher actually owned part of an Eagle Pass watering hole called the Old Blue Saloon, with kind of a bad reputation. Really? So when I say watering hole saloon, yeah. So he was part owner of that. But the whole area knew of Fisher's kindness to ordinary people who were victimized by the wild cowboys of the area, including his own hired men. Once, when two of his hands shot a poor man's oxen just to prove how good a shot they were, Fisher got the price of the oxen from his cowboys and made sure the owner was paid. So
he had a little good in him.
He did.
Yeah.
He had a whole bunch of friends. There was one guy by the name of Porfirio Diaz.
Oh,
and this guy was actually...
You made it through that one.
He was actually the future president of Mexico.
No.
And he was a friend. So, but as his reputation grew, so did his ambitions. He started a little spread of his own, and you know where this is going.
Uh-huh.
There was plenty of loose stock for the taking, some of it branded, some of it not. And he soon began to build his own herd. And he seemed to get along with everybody, and all kinds of men liked his company. He was just a friendly guy. Everybody liked to be around him.
He was a crook, but he was a friendly guy.
He was a friendly guy. So, little at a time, he gathered around him a highly competent bunch of wild, you would say violent hombres who would follow him anywhere without question.
Really?
Yeah, he was quite a guy. Anyway, he didn't much care where they came from or who they were, as long as they obeyed him. He kept their hands off his stock, and he ended up with a kind of a stronghold right there.
Did he pay them well?
Well, I'm sure he did, because they worked for him. They helped him build up his herd.
Yeah.
So the only successful invaders of Kingfisher country were the Texas Rangers.
Uh-oh.
Now, Fisher was arrested several times on warrants from various places of various crimes, but because he knew good lawyers, none of the charges ever stuck. Kingfisher was indeed the virtual king of his own little empire. Okay. Now, he is protective of his own stock. He was reputed to be less particular about how other people's stock made it into his stock.
Sure.
He welcomed stock from south of the border, paying his men to go get it and paying for the animals according to their worth from these guys that stole the cattle.
Yeah.
Along the way, this booming trade, the Mexican stock very nearly got him killed. It seems that 4 of Fisher's vaqueros, disappointed in the price Fisher paid them for rustling Mexican stock, planned to kill him while they worked changing brands in one of his corrals.
Uh-oh.
So you got the picture?
Yep.
Okay. They had not reckoned on Fisher's instincts and blinding speed, as I mentioned, with his gun. And as the vaqueros made their move, Fisher smashed one man's skull with a branding iron, snapped up his 6-gun, and blew the other 3 from off the corral fence.
Wow.
He was fast.
Well, not only that, he was a hard guy to work for.
Well, you just don't cross a guy like, especially somebody named Kingfisher.
You talk about employee-employer relationships.
Right, I wonder how the workman's comp went on that deal.
Goodness.
Well, inevitably, cattle and horses with oddly smudged brands ended up among Fisher's herds, and this was not unusual on the border, because stock often wandered loose and half wild, and cows do not much care whose brand they have on them. But rumors persisted that Fisher's cowboys were less than scrupulous about markings on the cattle they acquired.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, for all the loyalty, Kingfisher was he was deadly as a rattler, they say, and he celebrated Christmas Day of 1876, for example, by shooting a cowboy over some now-forgotten quarrel. He just shot a guy.
Just shot him.
Whatever.
Holy smokes.
On another occasion, after discovering 4 Mexicans stealing a horse from his corral, Fisher took a revolver from one of the thieves and shot the others.
Mm-hmm.
So
he was kind of a one-man band, wasn't he?
He was, yeah. Anyway, he established himself as one of the primary ranchers of the county and began to take some interest in law enforcement, if you can imagine.
He was going to be a policeman?
According to most Texans' notion of right and wrong, Fisher was within his rights to get rid of cattle rustlers.
I see.
They thought he was okay. All right.
He started his great big herd by rustling, and he's going to get rid of cattle rustlers.
Right, yep. Anyway, apparently a good many people bothered Kingfisher over the years, and nobody knows for sure how many he may have done away with. But one story related to a guy named Pest House Pete, okay?
Say that again.
Pest House Pete.
Pest House
This is a guy. Now, he claims that Fisher killed 3 rustlers on the south side of the Rio Grande and then ordered Pete to drag the bodies back across the river, establishing a false legitimacy for the killings. In other words, this hired man hauled the bodies back across the Rio Grande to, I guess, save Fisher's hide.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, later days on the border included more than his share of trouble. The Rangers, convinced that he was killing and rustling outside the law, which we know he was, he managed to get a total of 21 indictments against him at one time or another. All of them ended in dismissals or acquittals. Now, just imagine if you're the judge down there, Zeb, or on the jury, hey, you're not going to find this guy guilty.
Now, how many years have progressed since
we're up to about
1876, so it's about 1886
yeah,
right
we're getting
now?
up about 20 years, yeah.
Holy cow.
Well, anyway, we're going to go back to this Texas Ranger, Captain McNelly.
Yeah.
You know, he tried to leave Fisher a little advice. He said, make sure you stay law-abiding, King. You've got a nice wife. By now, he'd married. He said, you've got a nice wife. You could make a good citizen. You'd also make a nice corpse. All outlaws look good dead. Well...
And this was the Texas Ranger.
Yeah, he said, you know, things are going okay. Just stay on the right side of the law.
There you go.
He should have listened. He didn't. Well, he did mellow over the years. He was happily married, father of 3 daughters, and by this time he was back on the side of the law and at times acted as deputy sheriff.
No kidding.
So, you know, he kind of came back around, but a few years later, there's a guy named Ben Thompson, and he met Kingfisher while they were both in Austin, Texas, on business. Well, they were friends, all right? Now, we're at 1884 right now.
Okay.
So they'd been drinking a bit there in San Antonio. They visited a saloon or two and ended up at a theater. Well, Thompson and Fisher were joined in their box at this theater by 2 other men who happened to hate Thompson. Okay, so got the picture? We got 4 men in this box watching the show. 2 of the men do not like Thompson.
Why were they invited?
I don't know exactly.
Oh.
Okay. But exactly what happened after this is kind of lost in a cloud of gun smoke because both Fisher and Thompson lay dead in a pool of blood on the theater floor. The story of the quarrel just had gone too far. Somehow they'd gotten, and these 2 men shot Fisher and his buddy.
Boy, the moral of the story is you can't even enjoy a night at the theater.
No. And so they were basically, Thompson and Fisher were ambushed in this theater, and that was the end of...
all over a 49-cent box of popcorn.
I don't know. But so that's the end of Kingfisher, who was really the top dog in Eagle Pass country.
And that was it.
For a lot of years, left behind probably a pretty nice ranch.
What happened to the property?
That's, there we go with another question. There was the King family down there.
The King Ranch.
King Ranch.
Yeah.
But I don't know that there's any connection.
No.
Probably not, I'm going to guess.
I got to tell the audience that when Dr. History and I were talking during the news, he mentioned the name Kingfisher. And in some novels that somewhere in all the bookcases I have here, I think it was Larry McMurtry wrote in one of his novels, and I can't remember the name of it, and he used Kingfisher as one of the bad guys in that novel. I've got to find that for you.
Well, we know he started out as a nice young man, but found that on the other side of the law was more profitable.
Well, he kind of went 360.
Yeah, and then he came back to be on the right side of the law. I mean,
and he bought a ticket to the theater, which was a mistake.
Yeah, him and Abraham Lincoln.
What did they do to the two guys that shot him?
Doesn't even say what happened to him.
Really?
Yeah. So whether they got away or we don't know.
Well, listen, going back to last or 2 weeks ago story about Meager.
Right.
Let's do some research on that. Find out where that man is and maybe a telephone number.
Yeah.
And what we ought to do is try to get him on the program with you and I.
That would be fun. See if we can do a little more history about this.
The petrified man.
General Meager, the petrified man.
So there is validity to that story.
There is. And as I mentioned in that story, he was examined by doctors and even x-rayed, and he truly was a human person. I still haven't figured out how he became petrified. That's
your assignment
baffling.
for next week. I want you to go and talk to any and all doctors you know and find out about petrification.
I will. I've got some physician friends that I'll say, hey, how does this happen?
Do some of these stories of the Old West absolutely amaze you as to some of the bad guys that were bad guys turned good guys or vice versa?
Yeah, it is interesting. And I think, generally speaking, you look at the Old West, the law was really, you took the law into your own hands. I mean, you look at the vigilantes, you look at if somebody killed somebody, they would just go hang him or kill him.
You mentioned he stole a stallion and he was in jail. Now, normally, I don't know what year this basically stopped, but normally if you were a horse thief, you stretch some rope someplace.
Well, he was only a teenager. He was only about 16 at that time.
I see.
So he was pretty young when he did that. So I think that played into a little bit of sympathy for him from the law. Yeah.
You know, that would be, the Kingfisher story would be a semblance of a good movie.
It really would. I mean, you talk about seeing both sides of the law, a guy that all kinds of shooting and ranching. Yeah, that would be a good movie.
I've got a quick commercial, and then I'll talk to you after we close the program. Ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, we don't have a brass band, so we're just going to say, da-da-da-da, thank you, Dr. History.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. By the way, too, don't forget on Thursdays we have a segment called Cassia County School Days, where we say thank you to the great educators and education in Cassia County. And brought to you by A Child's World at 1308 Overland in Burley, a family store waiting right now to serve you, along with Ambulatory Surgery Center at 1344 Highland in Burley for your outpatient surgeries. They can and will save you money. Don't forget the number to call, 677-8888. Ambulatory Surgery Center and A Child's World, bringing you School Days in Cassia County on Thursdays at 10:10. Right now we're going to send it back over to our main studio. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
There's an organization of lawyers that I am extremely proud to have on my program. And, Wheels, I'm going to ask you, do you have our gentleman waiting in the wings?
Oh, yes, sir, we do.
All right, I'm going to get right to it then. And that's the Pacific Legal Foundation. They have been on a part of my program for a long, long time. And we have with us this morning an attorney by the name of Wen Fa that is going to talk to us about a Pacific Legal Foundation win at the Supreme Court. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Hi, doing well. Thanks for having me on.
You've been on with us before, and I've really appreciated your candid remarks. Tell us a little bit about Pacific Legal Foundation and a recent victory with the Supreme Court, if you would, please.
Sure. Well, Pacific Legal Foundation is a nonprofit public interest organization that litigates for the constitutional rights of Americans in courts across the United States. We have a great track record, including 10 wins in our last 11 cases before the Supreme Court of the United States. And our 10th win was actually handed down by the Supreme Court on Thursday. The case is Minnesota Voters Alliance versus Mansky, which involves a broad prohibition on voters from wearing political apparel when they go to vote on Election Day. The court, in a decision by Chief Justice Roberts, held that Minnesota's ban on political apparel was inconsistent with the free speech clause of the First Amendment. So we're very excited to have vindicated the First Amendment rights of voters throughout the United States, and we look forward for many more cases like this to come.
Let me ask you this. The state of Minnesota the terminology leaves me cold. When somebody says they're liberal, you would assume that, oh, well, I let this go and I'll let this go and I'll accept this and that. But really it isn't. Liberal means it's either my way or the highway in the state of Minnesota. And they were demanding that certain people not wear certain items of clothing. Be more specific about what they were upset about.
So our client, Andy Seelig, showed up to vote in 2010 wearing a shirt with a logo of the local Tea Party. So the election official said this wasn't allowed under Minnesota law and asked him to take off his T-shirt or to cover it up. And when he refused to do so, the election official made him wait outside for hours before he was finally allowed to vote, only after his name and address was taken down for potential prosecution. So it was certainly a huge infringement on Andy's First Amendment right to wear his Tea Party T-shirt, but it's also an infringement on the First Amendment right of many other voters in Minnesota, because the plain logic of the statute forbids voters from wearing T-shirts that also say things like ACLU, NAACP, Chamber of Commerce, and AFL-CIO. So indeed, it's an issue that conservatives and liberals should be very passionate about, because all of their First Amendment rights are being violated by this Minnesota law. So all of them should be very happy that the Supreme Court invalidated this Minnesota law on Thursday.
Well, explain to me how an election official that's working at the polling place has got the authority or the attitude of a judge, jury, and executioner that could threaten a potential voter with political prosecution. I don't understand that at all.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly contrary to anybody's views on the First Amendment rights in this country. And, what's more, the law is so broad that basically you have individual election officials in various counties sort of either explicitly or implicitly exercising their bias when they see a voter wearing something like a Tea Party T-shirt or an ACLU T-shirt. Some poll workers might think one piece of apparel is political while another might not. So this really highlights the discrimination, the opportunity for viewpoint discrimination, and that was really highlighted again at oral argument when the government's attorney said that someone wearing a T-shirt with the text of the First Amendment would be allowed into the polling place, while someone wearing a T-shirt with the text of the Second Amendment would be might be prosecuted for wearing that T-shirt into the polling place.
What about, and of course with this current administration and Donald Trump as president, with a slogan that comes out many, many times, not only during the campaign, but again during now his administration, to which I adhere to, Make America Great Again. I've heard that there were a lot of people upset about that slogan also.
Yeah, and currently, Minnesota, the way that Minnesota was enforcing the law, I think they would certainly make voters take off that hat or cover up the hat in some way. But it extends to far beyond that. As Chief Justice Roberts mentioned in the majority opinion, even someone wearing a T-shirt that said Ben & Jerry's, if you were like a Ben & Jerry's employee or something like that, or you just like Ben & Jerry's ice cream, if you were wearing that T-shirt to the polling place, it's possible that poll workers could put your name and address down for potential prosecution, because Ben & Jerry's has been involved or has taken political stances on certain issues like campaign finance laws. So, this extends to far beyond just one or two different types of apparel. It's a law that's boundless in its scope and prohibits much, much more free expression than is legitimately allowed.
Well, the phraseology of Make America Great Again, I cannot in any way, shape, or form understand how anyone could be critical of that when it's an incentive to do better, it's an incentive to live in a better country, it's an incentive for everybody to try harder to make America great again. How could anybody misconstrue that as a political statement, right or left?
Well, I think it goes to show that some slogans and things like that could be associated with one party or another, even when, and someone might lose his or her political right to free speech or constitutional right to free speech just because a candidate has taken up an issue. For example, Andy wore a T-shirt with the logo of the Gadsden flag. That's a throwback from the Revolutionary era.
Right.
And it wasn't thought to have any political or, it wasn't thought to be associated with any political party until 2010 when a lot of people in the Tea Party started wearing or started using that as a symbol. But that, I don't think that should silence Andy's ability to wear a T-shirt with a picture of the Gadsden flag. So I think this just goes to show that, a person should have his or her free speech rights, regardless of what other people decide to do with certain logos or apparels and things like that.
Well, I want to get into a little bit about free speech in particular at college campuses, and I've made the comment on my program a couple of weeks ago that I absolutely am appalled as to the silencing and the curtailment of people's free speech on college and university campuses to the point where there are roving bands at some major universities that are doing nothing but listening to other students and then turning them in with the possibility of expulsion of that particular student for displaying and saying their free speech and their First Amendment rights. This is insane.
Yeah, and I think that this decision handed out by the Supreme Court on Thursday could have broad implications beyond the polling place to, as you say, college campuses where, the university administrators currently have broad discretion to silence and censor speech. And I think that this decision could be used to push back against some of those laws and some of those policies. So I definitely do think that we're going to be seeing litigation in that arena as well in the coming months.
What about speaking at a public meeting or at a city council meeting and standing up and quite frankly, I would not ever be opposed to my saying I believe in God and I believe that Jesus Christ is my Savior and I believe that we should sing the national anthem and I believe we should have the Pledge of Allegiance and I believe we should have a prayer before the meeting. Some city councils are really cracking down and trying to stifle that free speech, are they not?
Well, I think that political speech is very important in a lot of different contexts, including in city council meetings. So to the extent that some city councils across the United States are cracking down on political speech at these meetings, I do think that this decision could be used to vindicate the constitutional rights of people who want to speak at those meetings and contribute to the political process.
Our free speech, the First Amendment, and quite frankly the Second Amendment, I think are at a very critical point in our history. What are your thoughts on this? I think that we really need to be observant and we need to be cognizant that the left wants to really see those amendments stomped on.
Yeah, I think that we have to be cognizant that there are government entities across the United States who enact laws, knowingly or not, that restrict one's First Amendment rights and violate the First Amendment. So I think that's why we have separation of powers. That's why we have courts to vindicate the First Amendment rights of people across the United States when the legislature or the executive violates them. So, that's why I think people should hear about or learn about my organization, the Pacific Legal Foundation, which represents clients free of charge and litigates to further constitutional principles in courts across the United States. And that's why I think an organization like Pacific Legal Foundation is very valuable to ensuring that people's First Amendment rights are not just, it's not just something you say, but it's something that actually means something and something that has practical effect in courts across the United States.
With this win at the Supreme Court, do you think that the left is going to get the message and back off, or is it going to get a lot worse in trying to stymie and stop free speech?
Well, I think Minnesota certainly has the opportunity to go back to the drawing board and to draw an election law that hopefully comports with the First Amendment. And we also see other states with similar laws. They have the opportunity to change their law in accordance with this decision and in accordance with the First Amendment. We'll see whether they do that or not. I hope that they do, but if they don't, I really do think that organizations like Pacific Legal Foundation will be willing to step up to the plate for individual voters and for Americans across the United States to vindicate their First Amendment rights in court.
Let me ask you, did you personally do a lot of the lawyer work, if you will, in front of the Supreme Court on this case?
Well, I did do, quite a bit of the legal work. I drafted the petition. But at Pacific Legal Foundation, we litigate everything. We litigate our cases as a team. So, I did a lot of work, and also my colleagues here also did a lot of work, and not just drafting some documents, but also reviewing documents and getting together and really brainstorming our legal strategy, because that's really important to boil down every case to what it's really about. And that's why, I'm certainly proud to litigate my cases here at Pacific Legal Foundation, not just by myself, but also with a team of talented colleagues.
That's very well stated, and I respect the way you handled that. But be honest with me, isn't it a little bit humbling and a little bit nerve-wracking to stand up in front of the United States Supreme Court?
Well, so my colleague Dave argued the case, so you'll have to pose that question to him. But yeah, certainly every time you litigate before the Supreme Court or you stand up to present argument, it is a very humbling experience. But at the end of the day, I think we have to realize that courts are there. They're there to help the court reach a decision that vindicates the constitutional principles of your client. And, I was telling one of our clients, I said, good luck. And the client said, we don't need the luck. We have the Constitution on our side. And I think that's an important principle for all lawyers to remember as well, that when you're standing up to do what you do, to vindicate constitutional principles, you have the Constitution on your side.
That's right.
And that should alleviate any nerves that you might have.
Absolutely well stated. Wen Fa with the Pacific Legal Foundation. And how can people follow this story and others with Pacific Legal Foundation?
People could read about Pacific Legal Foundation's work on our website at pacificlegal.org.
I appreciate you coming on the program, my friend. You've been here before. Don't make yourself a stranger. Come back in the future. Thank you very, very much.
All right. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you, sir. Very interesting about our First Amendment and our free speech. Thank you. Right now, it is time for the weather, and if you could see what I just tipped over here, I'm always making a mess. Our weather brought to you this hour by Scarrows Meats. That's right, at 331 North Road, Jerome. The number to call, 324-7657. Absolutely delicious meats, or you can go to their website, and you can read all about it and find out about it and get a complete list of all the great meats available at scarrowsmeats.com. Marinated prime rib. It is fantastic. It's like candy. It's so great. And, of course, all their bacons and their breakfast sausages and the bratwurst, my favorite. Oh, my goodness. Scarrows Meats in Jerome. Delicious. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
We're expecting some more precipitation today. Here's your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch. We are expecting isolated showers and scattered thunderstorms by this afternoon. Hopefully we'll see a little bit of sunshine, partly sunny with a high of 71. Winds out of the west-southwest, right around 8 miles an hour. Tonight, more isolated showers and thunderstorms are possible before midnight as we move into the overnight hours. Expecting mostly clear skies with a low of 50. Tomorrow, mostly sunny skies, high of about 80 for Wednesday night. Clear skies with a low of 54. Thursday, mostly sunny and 85, and as we move into the weekend on Friday, mostly sunny and 80. That's your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
And Gina, thank you. Brought to you by our friends at Scarrows Meats. Don Scarrow and the crew at 331 North Road, Jerome. Oh, my goodness. All you need to do is call. All you need to do is just stop over, and you're going to enjoy the great meats at Scarrows Meats because they are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. Scarrows Meats. Wow, we've got a lot of things to take care of before we wrap it up for today, and one of the items I want to mention is there's going to be a whole lot of fun going on at the Rupert 4th of July celebration for this year, and a lot of the great businesses that invite you over to Rupert and share in the fun, like Dixon Oil at 602 South 2nd in Rupert. Daryl and his crew at Dixon Oil wish you the best and biggest 4th of July celebration ever, and don't forget, for the best of gas, oil, and propane for your heating, everything at Dixon Oil in Rupert. Haruza Insurance Company at 723 South 3rd Street in Rupert. And all your commercial and business, auto, home, life, and health insurance, all you need to do is just get a hold of them. They offer the best combination of competitive rates, coverage, and personal service in Rupert. Haruza Insurance in Rupert. And last but not least, Snyder Paul Automotive, 205 West Ellis and Paul. Don't forget the telephone number, 438-5400. They have all your auto and truck parts. Just stop in. He'll get you fixed up and ready to go. Leland and the crew at Snyder Paul Automotive at 205 West Ellis Street in Paul. All of them wishing you to come on over to Rupert and enjoy the 2018 Rupert 4th of July celebration. Going to be great. Let's see what else have we got cooking here this morning. I got a couple of public service announcements, and I have time for about one more call. Give me a jingle on the landline, if you would. Like to remind you again, and I got this notice from Marion Wickham. She's so good about sending information to me. The Rupert United Methodist Church at 605 H Street in Rupert, and they are planning a great vacation Bible school called Rolling River Rampage. It's going to be Monday, June 25th through Friday, June 29th from 9 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. for preschool through 5th grade. Registration begins at 8:30 a.m. each day. And for more questions to be answered, call 436-3354. And I mentioned to you a little bit ago, Gary Shoresman and Modern Woodmen of America are going to be putting on a great big benefit at the Rupert Elks starting at noon on Saturday, June 23rd. It's a benefit for the DeMary Library and Minidoka County Museum. So what's going to happen, there's going to be a light lunch at noon, then very important and informative PowerPoint presentation by Gary Shoresman about Camp Rupert, and it's going to be a great benefit. I urge you to be in attendance that day, June 23rd, at the Rupert Elks at noon. And one final note, don't forget on the 4th of July, in the morning early, they're going to have a great big veterans breakfast at Hanson Mortuary, starting at 8 a.m. in the morning on the 4th before the parade starts. And I'm telling you, Joel Heward and his staff and family, they're going to put together some real good eating. So everybody's welcome. And that's going to be at 8 a.m. on the 4th of July over at Hanson Mortuary. Don't you miss it. Tomorrow on the program, we've got, Maria Espinoza, and this problem that's being exacerbated by the Democrats and everybody else on the liberal left about immigration with illegal immigrants, aliens coming in here. We're going to talk to her about. Then, of course, we're going to have some folks on the program talking about the Rupert 4th of July celebration, and Dave Bego's going to be here. We're going to have a lot of welcome phone calls, so don't miss a minute of it. Tomorrow, starting at 8:06. We couldn't do this without our major sponsor, and that's, of course, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations. And they say if you're getting ready for a road trip, you want to get out of Dodge City, well, I'll tell you what, they've got all the tires for your car, your pickup, your SUV, horse trailer, boat trailer, camp trailer, whatever. And, boy, I'm telling you, at prices you can't afford to pass pass up. And right now, for your car tires, they've got the Ultra Z900. Ooh, that is a good tire. All-season traction. You better check it out. Along with the best tire value promise in the industry. And their promise includes if a tire is damaged beyond repair, they'll replace it at its value. And they guarantee their work for the life of your tires. And they offer a free pre-trip safety check and so much more at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. With Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley. They are the best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Once again, quickly, we will have Zeb's Lunch Bunch this coming Thursday, right this week. Yes, day after tomorrow at Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley. And our thanks not only to Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner, but also for our gift card certificates. We're going to give away Walmart, Smith's Foods, Hanson Mortuary, Stokes Groceries, Doug Martin, Pomerelle Place, Denny's Restaurant. All of these folks, call your friends and neighbors, get a hold of everybody, and be there at 11:30 on Thursday, Denny's Restaurant in Burley. America's Diner. Great food, great people. We're going to wrap it up today and say have a great day. Stay dry. More rain's predicted. And we'll be back here tomorrow morning at 8:06 for more Zeb at the Ranch, where we always say the way things were are the way things ought to be. See you tomorrow morning.